Trump was addressing the crowd. Our Scott McFarlane is there. I'm going to bring him in tonight. But the scene has been described as chaotic. Several shots were heard. President Trump hit the stage. Secret Service came in, and we're going to bring in Scott McFarlane to let us know what he has seen and heard. Scott?
Adriana, it was a series of explosive sounds just about 5 minutes into the president's rally, the former president's rally here in Butler County, Pennsylvania. We saw the Secret Service rush the podium when the noises began, move President Trump, former President Trump, off the stage. And when he emerged, he appeared to have some blood somewhere near one of his ears. He raised his fist in defiance and moved with the Secret Service detail to some type of motorcade vehicle. And this rally has since ended. This was about 6:05 on the East Coast. The series of explosive noises shuddered through this crowd. So many of the thousands of people here went to the ground as law enforcement, what appeared to be some form of paramilitary or Secret Service detail, rushed to the left side of the stage behind former President Trump. They appeared to move someone or something out of the way. And now this crowd, this rally crowd, is departing. The former president has been moved off site. A series of explosive noises 5 minutes into the former president's rally here near Pittsburgh. He appeared to emerge defiantly with his fist in the air, but with some type of blood coming near one of his ears. We're working to get more information right now, but I can tell you this crowd is agitated. They are, at some point, defiant. Some are refusing to leave. Some are in tears. But this rally appears over, Adriana.
It looks like a chaotic scene there in Pennsylvania, Scott. Just horrific news. And this is a crowded area with, I'm sure, what was very heavy security. Scott, can you explain to me what kind of security people need to go through just to get to these fairgrounds?
You need to be screened to enter this area. We all had to go through magnetometers, had to have our bags checked, had to have our electronics checked. There is a visible Secret Service detail. You can see it in each corner of these fairgrounds in Butler County, Pennsylvania. I can tell you, when the series of explosives went off, some of us were confusing it for what would sound like firecrackers. But it was quite clear to the crowd immediately that there shouldn't be firecrackers going off here, and so many people took cover. We jumped beneath the rafters upon which I'm standing, which is behind the seated part of this crowd. Others just hit the deck, got into the grass. The former president was, you may see this better than me from the footage, removed by a Secret Service detail that seemed to pounce immediately. In fact, a lot of people were conflating this for firecrackers. It didn't go down until they saw the former president get rushed by his security detail. We can't speak to his condition right now. All we can say is he jumped back up, raised his fist in the air. The crowd cheered when he did, and he appeared to have some bit of blood on his head at the time.
Raised his fist in the air. We are all praying that he is okay. We understand the Secret Service has whisked him away in the motorcade. The FBI, we're told, is aware. But this right now, just as it's happening, is a Secret Service investigation. Scott, this comes as all eyes were really on this rally because we are just days before the Republican National Convention. And at any moment, the former president, was expected to announce his VP pick. So this was a significant rally, and, you know, at a time where there's been a lot of scrutiny, a lot of focus on who that could have been. We are getting in some commentary from J.D. Vance, the senator from Ohio, who was one of the contenders for former President Trump's VP pick. He has written on X, "Everyone join me in praying for President Trump and everyone at that rally. I hope everyone is okay." It is a sentiment that we all echo. Scott, can you tell us what is happening now? We're seeing some pictures, likely from earlier, of a motorcade being taken out and security personnel in camouflage heading in with long guns, surely trying to secure the area.
I'm seeing another ambulance move in right now, Adriana. Pardon me as I look away, but I see another ambulance behind one of the rafters near where former President Trump was speaking. This crowd.
Hello, everyone. This is so disgusting. So unneeded. So unneeded. So hello, Witchy. Hey, Tracy. Hey, 71. Hey, Dave. Hey, Tracy. So this is the what happens when you have organized hatred in this country. All right. Hey, Shay. So we had. I'm good. I'm good. I was restreaming Noodle Mash today, and Jason came into chat on Rumble and said that President Trump was shot, and I was like, whoa. So I finished my restream. I decided to do the cuck for a little bit, and I turned on my TV. Hey, Jason, there you are. And I see the total shit show for myself, and I'm like, I didn't want to believe it at first. It's not that I didn't believe any of you, but it was like, whoa. So let's just I'll watch a few more minutes of this. No, it didn't happen in Ohio, which it happened in Pennsylvania. So just so yeah, it's in Pennsylvania, Butler County. So
is 90% gone from the seating area. They've moved back behind us, and some of them in the direction of their cars or towards all the walking areas that got them.
Butler
The
County,
very long walk from the parking lots to the
north
rally
of
site.
Pittsburgh.
But we see no shortage of medical units. I'm looking at 1, 2, 3 fire truck or medical units nearby, a police detail keeping the crowd away from that area. To be clear, this is a heavily secured event. This is not just a hanging out at the county fairgrounds. You had to get wanded. You had to go through metal detectors. You had to go through a Secret Service protected detail to get into this site. And people were arriving here as early as 10 or 11 this morning. People were entering this area as early as 1 o'clock this afternoon. They've been screened, which begs any number of questions. I could also tell you that it's worth noting the crowd, some of them are being particularly hostile. They're yelling in the direction at us, yelling in the direction of authorities, but they are emptying out. Rally's over.
It's incredible, Scott, how quickly that crowd emptied out. When we were talking just moments ago, it was packed. And now when we just saw you recently, you can see that that area has been cleared. I can hear the yelling behind you, Scott. No doubt this is a difficult, frightening moment for everyone who was there, everyone across the country who was watching, for there to be shots to have been fired toward the president. And at this point, it's too early to know exactly what happened. We saw him reach up and touch his head. We don't know if he was hit. We don't know if he was grazed. We don't know if someone else was hit. You just told us, Scott, that you saw an ambulance at the scene. But this is a moment that is going to change the trajectory of this campaign.
All right. So we got question 1 from Jason. And so he thinks the blonde woman behind Trump was shot. I don't think so. I don't know. Because from the information I'm getting now, there was, all right. So 2 spectators were shot. All right. 2 of the spectators got hit with bullets. All right, Jason. 1 of them is dead. Okay. So they pulled 1 person out, which I saw was a male. He passed away. All right. And then I saw another one being escorted by Secret Service on tape. And I think he was being escorted to an ambulance. So that person was a male too. So the blonde female, I don't think was shot. I could be wrong, of course, since this is still under investigation. And they probably don't have full numbers at this point. But this is the information I'm getting. And the shooter is dead. All right. So there are 2 deaths. 2 deaths. And an injury. So, and 2 injuries. One would be the president, former president. And so there'll be 2 injuries, 2 deaths. So Trump was grazed in the ear with the bullet. He got out of the hospital probably an hour ago. He made a statement. In his statement, he was briefed by the Secret Service on what was going on, and it contradicted the news reports, which I'm sure not everything is going into the news stations correctly. Actually, the news reports are actually contradictory to how many deaths there were. So I'm sure the Secret Service knows how many people died, how many people were shot by now. It's just not everything's being released to the public. So Trump made a statement and thanked the Secret Service for their quick action. And let's continue and see if we see anything else on this tape, all right?
Already so much focus had really been on this campaign on the side of President Biden. Now we are talking about the unthinkable, potentially former President Trump on stage as shots ring out here in Butler County, Pennsylvania. Scott, can you tell us a bit of what you're seeing now? What are people yelling behind you?
Now, they're yelling at us. Some of the members of the crowd are gesturing towards us and screaming vulgarities at the media. We're all in a row here on the rafters above the stage, above the seated area. But I could see police or law enforcement of some sort, Secret Service, state police or county police, moving the crowd out. They're getting everybody out of here, which raises a few possibilities, doesn't it, Adriana? That they have to collect some type of evidence or...
Yeah, they have to investigate the whole situation. An attempted assassination just occurred. You know, they have to clear the place. The shooter is dead. You know, the shooter was shot in the act. He was on top of a shed, on top of a roof. So he was shot by a sniper, one of the Secret Service's snipers. So I'll get to that in a little bit. So
investigate some type of incident, some type of crime, if these were in fact gunshots. Are they concerned about everybody's safety as people are now moving in aimless directions, bumping into each other, bumping into tossed equipment? There's a lot of debris around here too. People just hit the ground. Chairs were toppled. We jumped beneath our elevated stage. Cameras and stands and tables fell on top of us. It was a chaotic moment. I don't think that's overstating it. Once everybody recognized 2 or 3 seconds in, these might be gunshots. It was a sequence, a fast sequence of explosions, as if somebody had lit off 10 or 12 firecrackers in a row. And it's easy to conflate firecrackers and some types of gun rounds. But once everybody recognized something was afoot here, when the Secret Service moved in to former President Trump, everybody recognized the severity of the situation. And there were people moving in different directions, running into each other, or just face planting into the grass or into the ground. And you can see, still, from my vantage point on the other side of this camera, people in tears, people hugging each other, people comforting each other. That's the scene in Butler County, Pennsylvania, where there was to be a marathon rally of former President Trump that only got 5 minutes in before this incident occurred.
Scott, what you're describing is horrific. This is the worst possible scenario at an event like this.
when it happened, after it happened.
Politicians are supposed to be able to address the public in a safe environment, and that is why there is so much security. The security that you've described, people being wanded down, having their bags checked just to get into that area. And, you know, we understand why tensions are so high, why people are so emotional there. This is really just, it's a tragic moment. And when you were there, when it happened, Scott, you mentioned it sounded like firecrackers. How long did it take for people in the crowd to realize what was happening?
I want to toss it over to
Took about 4 or 5 seconds for a lot of us to recognize that, first of all, firecrackers shouldn't be lit or ignited at an event like this. So there was something suspicious about it. And even though it sounded like firecrackers, there was a pretty quick realization this could be something much more dangerous. And let me be unequivocal about something. This is a security.
So, Witchy Nicole, the last time this happened was in 1981 when there was an assassination attempt against Ronald Reagan. Yes, there has been a few other incidents where members of Congress have been targeted, such as Gabby Giffords. But the last time either a sitting president or someone running for president or a former president was targeted was 1981. So this rarely happens, Witchy. This is a rare occasion. So I wouldn't sit there and be scared to go to a Trump rally or go to a rally or a political event to someone who you support, no matter which side of the aisle you politically support. So this is a rare event, and this rarely happens. So I wouldn't get up and say, "Oh, I'm so scared," to even express yourself. So
failure of epic historic proportions, that there was some type of explosive noise. The former president had to be tackled and taken off stage by a Secret Service with blood appearing to come from his head. That a crowd of thousands at a presidential rally had to hit the ground, some of them colliding with each other, equipment falling on their heads and our heads at one point. No matter what this ends up being, this was a security failure at an event that is secured by the U.S.
I agree. This is a security failure. This is a damn security failure. How did they get that damn gun in the place? How did a gunman, where everyone is searched, going in, your bags are searched, you go through the metal detector. Hey, you probably get a full body scan too while you're there. The Secret Service doesn't play around. You know, it's someone running for the presidency, or a former president, or the former first lady or something. The Secret Service doesn't play. All right. This is how the Secret Service works. You know, their job is to protect the president, a former president, or their families. All right. This is what the Secret Service does. So when you see something like this happen, all right, it makes you your head spin. How could this have happened? Everyone that gets in is searched. They get a pat down, the wand, and they may have I'm not sure on this. Don't quote me on the next statement I'm going to make, but they might even have a body scanner there to make sure you're not hiding anything under your snatch or in your butt or something. because that could be very dangerous if you stick some explosives up your butt or something. It's there's lots of crazy people out there. This is apparent today, but here's the number one question that needs to be answered during the investigation that's going to be taking place. How did this nut job get a rifle through this tight security? How did they do it? All right. So apparently the Secret Service failed somehow. All right. They failed to screen everybody, or something happened. All right.
The Secret Service and any number of other law enforcement agencies where everybody in the space had to be screened and wanted by metal detectors and officers. It's just calamitous as a failure.
It is a failure.
And we're getting new reporting in, Scott. Our Olivia Rinaldi, who was there, says that they see some blood on the bleachers. We're also hearing, I'm just getting some more information here. We're also hearing that the president is off-site. And Jane, what did you just say? We now have Robert Costa joining us on the phone. Bob, what can you tell us?
Your average day at the office.
I've had a lot of weird days.
Do we have Bob?
I can tell you.
We lost Bob. Scott, we're going to bring you back in here. Scott, can you hear me?
Hey, it's Costa.
Scott, what you described there is,
Tracy.
We've seen these rallies hundreds of times. This is not the first time that, the former president has held a rally like this. They really should have this security protocol down. But like you said, clearly there was a breach. Clearly there was some kind of issue here for shots to have rung out, not only before you saw the president duck down, but afterward. We have reporting that there were shots that were fired after the fact, after he was carried out on stage.
We heard a long sequence of explosions. Again, as at about the 5-minute mark of this rally. After we all recognized these were likely, if not potentially, gunshots, we all took cover. And I'll admit we lost our view of the stage at that point. You can see it's all askew right now. The sign is off center. Things are toppled. Chairs are toppled. There's a helicopter going overhead right now. I also saw at one point, after the former president was removed, a set of law enforcement or responders, some in paramilitary gear, the camouflage gear with helmets, run toward the left side of the podium, from my perspective. It would have been the former president's right, and focus on someone or something about 50 to 100 feet to the left, to the camera's left of where former President Trump was speaking, to the former president's right side. That happened about maybe 60 seconds, 90 seconds after the explosive noises occurred. But law enforcement now appears to be growing in number on site. See more vehicles, more flashing lights than I did when the speech began. And they have moved this crowd out of the seated area, out of the area immediately around the stage.
Scott, this is now a crime scene, and we're hearing from our reporter, Olivia Rinaldi, who was there. That crime scene tape is being put up. The area, like you said, is being cleared. And now this is a live investigation that the Secret Service is involved in. I want to bring in our Bob Costa, who's been speaking to Trump sources all day. Bob, what have you heard?
This is an event that has sent off a seismic explosion inside of American political circles. Top Democrats and top Republicans working the phone already with me, asking me if they're hearing anything. They're trying to reach Donald Trump and his advisors. This is a shocking event to have an alleged shooting at a campaign event for the presumptive nominee just days before the convention opens in Milwaukee. There's a lot of concern. The former president, 78 years old, seen to be by his allies and friends as in good physical health. This is something that has rattled everyone just within the last minute. A lot of uncertainty about what exactly happened, trying to talk to sources of the Justice Department and the Secret Service about what exactly took place.
And Bob, we're just getting some new reporting into the newsroom right now. We're being told that the former president is safe and that they have implemented protective security measures. So that is the latest that we have here. Former President Trump is safe right now. He is in with the Secret Service, who escorted him out swiftly after this event. But Bob, shocking, like you said, is the word. Troubling is the word. Worrisome is also the word for what just happened and transpired at this Trump rally. These rallies are moments where people can gather around a candidate, support a candidate. This is the democratic process, and for it to be interrupted in this way is really an affront to the democratic process.
Yeah, you know, I was thinking, you see the background. You see the background. I don't think it should be set up that way for security purposes. You know, with people in the back like that. They should be all in the front, you know. Because thank goodness that this sniper wasn't very good. This shooter wasn't very good. His aim was off. All right. He missed. The guy missed. He only got Trump's ear. I don't know if he moved his head slightly or whatever happened. Thank goodness he missed. He didn't hit another part of his head. All right. I'm just going to say that. Because it would have been a real tragedy if he was in a coma or in the hospital and had to have surgery to remove a bullet from his face or something. Because this is, I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat, the way you handle this type of situation is not with violence. You go to the ballot box, people. You go to the ballot box and you vote. All right? If you don't like this guy, fine. All right? I'm not going to sit there and argue with you in length. You can sit there and vote for Sleepy Joe, like the cuck declares, all right, if you want to be a little dumb, all right, and want another 4 years of shit. But that's just my opinion on it. But violence of this sort, not acceptable. I would be just as dismayed as if someone took a shot at Biden. It's not right. We don't handle our disagreements with a lone gun assassin. All right?
We are still learning more about what happened. This was still moments ago. Go ahead, Bob.
And this is unprecedented in recent political history. You see the former president there raising his fist. This is someone who has been defiant. In past interviews with Trump, he has confided with me. He has always been worried about his health in terms of possible violence on the campaign trail. And he has said he has sort of a fatal view about some of his exposure publicly, but he wants to get out there with campaign rallies. In the past, I've talked with former President Trump about how he sees people like George Wallace, the former presidential candidate who has been shot years ago, decades ago. But this kind of violence is highly unusual in modern American politics, thankfully so. But you see the former president raising his fist in defiance. Ronald Reagan last shot in the early 1980s when he was president of the United States at the Hilton Hotel in Washington. And he famously also expressed defiance in the hospital room when he was dealing with that shooting and that assassination attempt at George Washington University Hospital. So a moment in history here, a possible tragedy, likely averted, but a tragic event for America to see a major political figure shot. I mean, this has echoes of 1968. Unfortunately, when you saw Dr. Martin Luther King gunned down, a major force in this country, Robert F. Kennedy running for president in California in 1968. Now, former President Trump,
Hey,
unfortunately,
Wendy.
is the list of those who have been shot while running for president.
Bob, that is exactly right. This is already a tragedy, already a historic moment that we just saw unfold. Thankfully, we're told former President Trump is safe. That is the most important thing right now.
Yeah,
We do not have
that's the most
details of his
important
condition. We saw when this transpired, he touched his ear, as you're seeing right now, and he dropped to the ground, and he was escorted out, carried away by the Secret Service. He is safe. That is what we are being told. But let's get some more perspective here. We have our Ed O'Keefe on the line from Milwaukee, where he is already there.
So the question here is, and Dave has a point, they all went through a screening for weapons. They have drones flying. And then I hear on the news a witness, okay? I hear a witness that went on air and said that they saw the shooter hop on they saw him with his gun, his rifle, and they saw him climbing the shed. All right. So there was a few in the crowd that were getting the attention of the Secret Service. All right, before the shooting all started. So they finally got the attention of the Secret Service agents, and then the shooting started. So no one apparently was paying attention to that shed. So my question is, all right, how did they get a weapon through security in the first place? Now, number one, I don't think a normal person would be able to okay, Wendy, that's a good point you got. You heard that Trump doesn't have that amount of security. Okay. He only has a small amount of Secret Service agents. That's perfectly possible. But everyone at the door is screened. Or everyone at the place is searched. So one of my theories is it's an inside job, all right? Which I highly doubt, because if something like this happened, the entire Secret Service would be investigated and put under a microscope, all right? It's just common sense here, all right? Jason even pointed that out. Now the Secret Service is going to get investigated for their failure. All right. It's just plain old facts. All right. Now, number two, which I really had to think about for hours, is the weapon was there. The gun was smuggled in weeks before the incident today. So perhaps the gun was on the premises a week ago, and the person had tickets to see Trump, so he went to the precinct, and I mean, I'm not saying precinct, but where the rally was going to be, buried the gun or whatever, the rifle and the ammunition, and then came to the rally today and unburied it. And then all he had to do was climb up on the shed. He would have been searched right on the premises. No weapon found. That's my theory. I'm not going to be 100% sure on anything, but I would have thought that the Secret Service would have done a sweep of the place to make sure there's no weapons left behind from a previous event that's held at these fairgrounds. But apparently, no, it didn't happen. So that's just the one theory that I had that actually makes a little bit of sense. Oh yeah, Wendy. Of course he's gonna they're gonna have the proper security measures taken now. And guess what, Wendy? So I'm hearing his next rally is in Milwaukee, and his security tripled. Haha, you know? And they're taking more security precautions. They're going to extremes. So there'll be no people in the. There'll probably be no people in the background behind him. There'll probably just be the audience in an auditorium. You know, so if someone tries to do something, yeah, you know, Wendy, I bet Trump will be behind glass now. You got a point there. Because I seen interviews with a few other people, like on documentaries on protecting this person, Secretary of State, and they said, "Oh, we can't have you do this," and they have to. It's the Secret Service has to explain why we can't have you do this. You know, because it's unsafe. It's and then they said, "Okay, Kennedy wanted to do that." And then we had the Kennedy assassination. And it says, okay, Kennedy wanted to do this, this, and this happened. So they had to evaluate the Kennedy assassination to say, okay, we can't do this anymore. Yeah, 71. You could do an outdoor one, 71, but you have to really. But it's sad, you know. Yeah, I agree with you, Wendy. They should be able to go outside, you know, and but maybe as Wendy suggested, Trump should be behind glass. You know, the candidate should be behind some type of glass, at least in the front anyway. And then part of the back, you know, like two slips of glass, you know, bulletproof glass. That's just my opinion. Just in case someone does happen to smuggle a weapon like this in. You know, it's so if the president or candidate, it wouldn't really matter, would it, if it was outdoors or indoors, if there was a piece of bulletproof glass behind him or behind the candidate and in front of the candidate with a microphone, you know, as long as you could see the person. Someone with the AK-47 wouldn't be able to do much damage, would they? So this is the fucking disgrace what happened today, all right? This is disgusting. Oh, you know, damn. So, one report had 2 shot spectators. The third one was the president, the former president. And then one spectator may have been killed. Then the report on another channel goes this. So I would assume a report from the Secret Service would be at least more accurate than these news reports coming in. So and one person just made a comment on TV that political violence has no place in America. And I seem to agree with that comment coming in. All right. So someone decided, so these politicians are now, what they're doing on TV is what they're commenting on today's tragedy. And now, Trump is now out of the hospital, and he went back to his hotel or home, and he's now going to have to recover from the treatment he got at the hospital. I'm sure it's emotionally taxing what happened today. Someone tried to kill him. So I hope that emotionally he gets through this. And my sympathy goes to the rally goer today that got himself killed. All right. Because no one should have to lose their life for attending a political event. Okay. And no one should be injured because some nut job with a weapon, hey, Splash and Full, because some nut job with a weapon has a political axe to grind. You know, this is just getting to be ridiculous. All right. Yeah. The RFK assassination was a tragedy back in '68. It was a tragedy. All right. He shouldn't have lost his life for running for office because some nut job didn't agree with him. Okay? I thought this was America where people have their own views. All right? Are willing to talk about it. And but we know how this drama community works. They don't agree with you, they call you a liar. Or they say you don't know what you're talking about, or yeah, 100%, Witchy Nicole. 100%. So that's what I have, a political axe to grind, Witchy Nicole. I'm going to do it as a ballot box this year. All right? 100%. You know. So, let's see what else they got here.
We're setting up for our coverage for the Republican National Convention. Ed?
Adriana, the news of this comes ironically as the facility where the convention is set to begin on Monday is already under the requisite Secret Service security check, which had gotten underway just this afternoon. This is a city that is making big preparations for this 4-day affair. We've seen local police out doing sort of runs through the streets on their bikes to get their sense of what streets have been closed and who might be out and about protesting or planning to. But this is, as you guys have been saying, a total shock and tragedy, and a completely unanticipated
look
event.
at this.
And what was supposed to be an otherwise
This is horrible.
Sort of pep rally and prep rally for the former president as he makes his way to Wisconsin in the coming days. This Midwestern city was supposed to host this event 4 years ago for Democrats. Republicans opted to pick it instead, and conventioneers are starting to make their way in this direction. We have no official word from convention organizers here or the Republican Party as they prepare. And obviously, everyone coming to this city, if they're getting off planes in the coming hours that they're in the air right now, are going to be shocked once they learn what has transpired.
And Ed, how could this change the trajectory of the campaign? This is something that, go ahead.
No, I mean, obviously that it begs that question, but Adriana, there's just no way to know. And it, to the point that Scott and Bob have been making, we all have kept in the back of our minds the possibility of something exactly like this unfolding in exactly this kind of setting. A large campaign rally, a small campaign event where somebody walks in and tries to cause trouble like this, especially in an era when, you know, shootings have occurred at all sorts of public events in recent years. The fact that it had not happened until today at a political one was a miracle, to be frank. And now we'll have to wait and see not only how is the former president, we wish him the best, but also was anyone else there injured? And how does this change the makeup of how campaigning can continue, not only for president, but for every other public office in this country, if now a candidate for the White House has been apparently.
Yeah, I think everyone that runs for federal office should get this protection. This is just my honest opinion. All right. You know, because I don't think I got that, Wendy, on my this is from YouTube, so we got some people here. It's just going to be playing on loop. This whole thing. They're just playing the whole thing over and over again. So that's what happened today. Some lunatic decided to. They didn't like Donald Trump. So instead of taking his rage out at the ballot box this November, he decided to smuggle in a gun and start shooting. He decided to use emotional terrorism to strike fear into people. Now, I think this is going to backfire big time, as it usually does. All right? Look at that conviction, that criminal conviction that Biden's Justice Department got. Okay? That seems to backfire. We all know it's a can of worms. It's probably a bunch of bullshit. It's like a who cares moment. But Biden wants to use his Justice Department to go after his political enemies. So that actually hurt Biden's chances of winning re-election, in my opinion. All right. Now, according to the polls, some of these polls that I'm seeing on YouTube, that Biden isn't doing very well. Actually, he's doing so bad in these polls that he's losing almost every state. He's losing almost every state in the country. So, what did this guy expect to accomplish? All right, by taking a gun and did he think that killing Donald Trump was going to make everything all right? No, Donald Trump would probably, if hell came to shove, all right. Thank goodness he's all right. Thank God he moved or got out of the way of the bullet. But if the worst happened, he would be replaced. All right. There'll be a new candidate. All right. Now, I don't know if everyone has heard lately, but something happened. All right. I don't know if it's in the news particularly, but does everyone know who AOC is? So for anyone that doesn't know who AOC is, she's this extremist representative that represents a district in Queens. I think her name's Alexandria Cortez. And that's her first and last name. I forget her middle name. Her middle name starts with an O. And she made a threat. All right. It was like as clear as day. She threatened the Supreme Court if they didn't do as the Democrats said, that they would impeach 2 members of the Supreme Court. I thought she was just angry. I thought she was just blowing off steam. But unfortunately, she followed through on her threat. So AOC filed articles of impeachment against Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito. All right. So I listened to what she had to say. All right. I thought it was going to be this crying spell that she was going to have. Oh, you should have done what I said. We said, you know how some of these Karens work, where you do as I say, or I'm going to retaliate against you. We've all seen them in this old drama community. Well, I listened to her speech before the House, actually, and I'm like, are you serious, AOC? So, did you sit on this for years? So you sat on Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito being crooks on the bench for years. And we're now hearing about it. Very interesting. So she claims, so we're going to get to the allegations of Clarence Thomas first. So there's a man named Harlan Crow. He's this rich billionaire or multimillionaire who happens to give lavish gifts to judges. And Clarence Thomas happens to be one of his top donors. All right. Now, if you want my honest opinion about Clarence Thomas, I think he's a trash bag. He shouldn't have been confirmed as a judge on the Supreme Court after the Anita Hill incident. I do think, honestly, that he sexually harassed Anita Hill. So he's this guy is giving Clarence Thomas gifts, paying his family's college tuition, bills, and everything. All right. And this judge doesn't even report it. All right. He's supposed to log these gifts. All right. Or these trips. He's supposed to log it by law. Oh, I got a free trip to Russia. Oh, I got a free trip to this place, to a casino or something. All expenses paid. All right. But this judge just didn't disclose most of it. So he violated the law so many times, it isn't funny. So this is according to Democrats in Congress. All right. So if you listen to my 4th of July stream, I suggest you watch it. I explain this nut job, Alexandria Cortez. She's an extremist. She thinks she owns everything, and she thinks she's Nancy Pelosi. And I said, wait a minute. She actually has a point here. But here's the thing. Why are we hearing about it now? Oh, that's right. That's right. Mm-hmm. She didn't agree with the decisions coming out of the Supreme Court. She didn't agree with the immunity decision. She didn't agree with this decision. She didn't agree with the January 6th decision. She didn't agree with any of it. So she says, blah, blah, wah. I'll show you. I'll show you. But the number one crime that Clarence Thomas allegedly committed was some of this guy, this Harlan Crow guy, some of his cases. Clarence Thomas was supposed to recuse himself from any case this guy may have brought before the Supreme Court. He never recused himself. In fact, he was writing favorable opinions, even if they were in the dissent column. So even if the rest of the justices disagree with Clarence Thomas, he wrote a passionate dissent defending Harlan Crow's interests. Apparently. So we're hearing about it now with these articles of impeachment against Clarence Thomas because they're not happy about the January 6th decisions that came down or the Trump decisions that came down from the court. So we're now hearing about it. So if you were so concerned, if they were so concerned about these crimes, why wasn't Clarence Thomas impeached 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago? I'm finding this to be sour grapes. Couldn't you have investigated this years ago and took care of it? Same thing with Alito. The same thing is alleged of Alito. All right. He has a different person that funds his lavish gifts and lavish lifestyle. All right. He never recused himself from their cases going before the Supreme Court. But now we're hearing about it. I can see so okay, now we know the crooks. All right. So do you expect so what does AOC want done about it? All right. So why now? Does she expect a Republican ran House of Representatives to jump on it? Okay. We're in the middle of an election here. And we all know how how Congress works, or how the corrupt bargain works in Congress, all right? They work on political lines, all right? As of the last decade, I say probably a little more, it's become more partisan in both chambers of Congress. All right? So AOC expects House Republicans to impeach, to impeach two Supreme Court justices for their behavior. All right. And then expects them to get trials before the Senate. All right. We all know how the impeachment process works. They tried it twice on Trump and failed. And of course, perhaps if it went the right way, we had two less Supreme Court justices. All right. But does everyone remember what happened the last time Obama tried to replace justice before the election at the end of his term, his second term? Republicans said, no, we're going to wait for Trump. Or we're going to wait for the next president to pick justices. All right. So AOC expects them to impeach two justices and then let Biden pick the two justices. So you see the political dilemma that she's trying to pull here at the last minute. So there are two conservative justices on the Supreme Court. All right. I don't always agree with them. All right. Per se. But hey, do you think that so they have to have a 2/3 majority to even expel them from their seats? So they would need Republican support, even in the Senate. And that they would know that their vote to convict would allow Sleepy Joe to pick two new Supreme Court justices, even though they're criminals. Perhaps you should wait until after the election. That would be a smart thought, wouldn't it? Or at least hold off the impeachment vote till then. Does she think that she's going to get a vote till then? Does she think that she's going to get a no. No. Nope. No way, Jose. So, does anyone know who's gonna go up for parole soon after 30 years? Anyone in chat? Anyone in chat know a famous person, famous inmate that's going up for parole in a few months? Just give you a second. All right, Susan Smith. All right, Susan Smith is going up for parole this year. Yep, Susan Smith. Yeah, she's pretty so if anyone don't know who she is that's overseas, let me give you a brief description of her crimes. All right. So she was convicted of murdering her children, her two kids, Michael and Alexander, in 1994. All right. So on October 25th, 1994, Smith reported to police that her vehicle had been carjacked by a black man who drove away with their son still inside. For 9 days, she made dramatic pleas on national television for their safe return. However, following an extensive investigation and nationwide search for them, she confessed on November 3rd, 1994, to letting her car roll into nearby John D. Long Lake, drowning them inside. Her motivation was reportedly to facilitate a relationship with a wealthy man named Tom Finley. Prior to the murders, he sent Smith a letter ending their relationship and expressing that he did not want children. She said that there was no motive, nor did she plan the murders, stating that she was not in a right state of mind. Ouch. There's no reason to kill your kids, Susan. That's no reason whatsoever. Later revelations indicated that detectives doubted Smith's story from the start and believed that she murdered her sons. By the second day of the investigation, the police suspected that she knew the locations and hoped that they were still alive. Investigators started to search the nearby lakes and ponds, including John D. Lake, where the bodies were eventually found. Initial water searches did not locate the car because the police believed it would be within 30 feet of the shore, but it did not search further. It turned out to be 122 feet from the shore. Ouch. After the boys had been missing for 2 days, the Smiths were subjected to polygraph tests. The biggest breakthrough of the case was her description of the carjacking location. She claimed that the traffic light had turned red, causing her to stop on an otherwise empty intersection. However, it was determined that the light could not have turned red for her unless another vehicle was present on the intersecting road. This conflicted with her statement that she did not see any other cars there when the carjacking took place. In 1995, David Brooke and Judy Clark served as co-counsel for Smith. In their opening statements, Clark argued that Smith was deeply troubled and experienced severe depression. Clark told the jury, "This is not a case about evil. This is a case about despair and sadness. The defense's theory about the case is Smith was driven over the edge of the lake to kill herself with her two sons, but her body willed herself out of the car. The prosecution, on the other hand, believes she murdered her sons in order to start a new life with her former lover. It took the jury 2.5 hours to convict her of murdering them. During the penalty phase, so in no particular, so the state did seek the death penalty against Susan Smith in this case. Tommy Pope, the lead prosecutor in the Smith case, arguably passionate in favor of sentencing Smith to death. The jury ultimately voted against imposing the death penalty. Smith was sentenced to life in prison in 1995 for the murder of her two sons. Smith's defense psychiatrist diagnosed her with dependent personality disorder and major depression. So, you think this was the end of it, right? She would get her so many years in prison. I would have thought that she would get life without parole after her awful crimes, but no. She has to serve her 30 years, and then she goes up to the parole board, unfortunately. During Smith's incarceration at the Camille Griffin Graham Correctional Institution, 2 correctional officers, Lieutenant Houston Gagel and Captain Alfred R. Rowe, were charged with having sex with her. Coincidentally, she was moved to Leith Correctional Institution in Greenwood. She will be eligible for parole in November 2024. So Law and Order had an episode based on her case, season 6, episode 8, Angel. I didn't know that. So, oh yeah. Oh, hey, Wyoming. Oh yeah, Witchy did. Yeah, she's a nasty little bitch. Now she goes up for parole in November. She goes up for parole. So, does anyone think, let me put up a poll here. All right, here's we got 10 people in chat. So does anyone think that Susan Smith will get paroled? I don't think so. She barely escaped the death penalty by a jury. She killed 2 of her kids. Oh yeah, Wendy. You know, she'll be hated on the outside. I hope not. I hope she don't get paroled. I don't think that she'll breathe free air again. That's just for me, but you never know with parole boards. You know, and then she has sex. Then she tries to seduce prison guards. Not a good look, Susan. And then we got a few people in this community that are actually, what do you call it? White knighting for Susan Smith. We all know who that is, right? Bullhorn Betty and JLR. Yeah. Wyoming. Yeah, but she's in a women's facility, Wyoming. So I think they put they put Susan in with the other baby killers. If you know what I mean. But then she had to blame a black person for kidnapping her kids when it was not even the truth, you know? That's what gets me, you know? And then here's her defense, you know. The defense says she's deeply troubled and experienced depression. Okay. Doesn't everyone experience depression in life? So here's what the defense said, all right? So the defense says her body was willed itself out of the car. But why didn't she get her kids out of the car? You get what I'm saying, everyone? She decided to get rid of her kids, but not herself. You know? I don't buy this defense. You know? She was just trying to get herself out of trouble, you know? Like some of these other defendants. So she goes up for parole in November, and we're going to be seeing some of these idiots coming out of the woodwork that will be saying Susan Smith is innocent. Susan Smith is not evil. Susan Smith is awesome. You know those Looney Tunes trying to make names for themselves? But according to the trial here, she admitted she did it. All right? She confessed to the crime. Yeah, she wanted her new boyfriend, Wendy. She wanted her new damn boyfriend, and she was going to stop at nothing to get it. And she thought she could lie herself out of trouble. Isn't that what a lot of these killers? You're welcome, Wendy. Yeah. How is it? How is it awesome? Witchy. But you know how some of these people in this community witchy act? They want to make names for themselves, so they're going to sit there and white knight for Susan Smith for her upcoming parole. Yeah. So what happens afterwards, Wendy? When Susan Smith's boyfriend told her he didn't want a woman with kids? They end up at the bottom of John D. Long Lake in Union County. You know? Union County Reservoir. Yeah. Yeah. But some of them, but there's some people that do that. They're not mentally well, but look at the people we have around here, you know? We have Bullhorn Betty. She's not normal in the head. We have JLR. We have, I don't know, Wyoming. I don't know how you kill your own kids. It's one of the worst things you can do. And we have some people especially in the true crime community, that will sit there and say Hitler's innocent or Saddam Hussein did nothing wrong. You know, even when they confess, so, oh, I did it. I did all these atrocities. You know, it's just disgusting. You know, I don't know how someone could kill their own kids, but she's in jail for she's been in jail for over 30 years now, and then she probably thinks that she's entitled to parole. You know, so I'm looking at the trial here of Susan Smith, and I think the trial strategy for Susan Smith's defense was for her not to get the death penalty. All right, it's obvious here to me. All right, it's just my opinion that the state had an open and shut case. They had her confess. All right, they had her confess to the crime. They had her lie to the police. They had her lie to the national. She lied to the national media that a black man carjacked her when it wasn't true. All right, and so the defense was stuck. All right, so with their so in my opinion, what they did was they said, okay, we got a woman here where the state's seeking the death penalty. Let's humanize our client for the jury so she doesn't get the chair. All right. So they spun this little web of depression, and she's deeply troubled. All right. And the jury bought it. All right. She was sentenced to life in prison. I don't think if she did get the death sentence, she'd probably be up for execution by now. All right. They usually spend 20 to 25 years, sometimes 30 on death row anyway. So, but instead of her getting a lethal injection or the electric chair, she's getting the privilege of going up to the parole board, which I don't think is fair for her crime. I think she should just sit there and rot. All right. Especially after she sits there and tries to seduce the guards, the male guards. What was it for Susan? You know, was she trying to escape from prison, trying to get help? Was she trying to get special treatment? You know, I don't know. You can't read the mind of these sickos on this platform. Not on this platform, but you know, these sick son of a bitches that kill their kids. Oh, damn, Witchy. Damn it. Yeah, we got plenty of baby killers around, you know? We got Casey Anthony. We got Susan Smith. Then we got that person that you're mentioning. Then we got the Chris Watts who killed his kids. So it seems to be so I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if Susan Smith is starting a trend. Started a trend in '94. You know? Oh, absolutely. There's so many more options than murder. But some of these people don't even get that. So I just wanted to let everyone know that Susan Smith is going up for parole, and to beware of some of these attention seekers out there. They're probably going to post clips and saying, "Oh, course, Wendy. There's plenty of others. It's just getting to be so disgusting. I can't even turn on the news half the time because this person did this and this person did that. It's getting to be. Ugh. I thought during the Casey Anthony case, I thought, okay, they can at least get her on felony murder, can't they? Felony murder rule. Or second degree murder if they can't prove premeditation. But the jury went full acquittal because they're too stupid to walk through the evidence. You know, they wanted to go home because they're sequestered. That's just my opinion, you know. And then the jury was saying, "Well, why does America hate us? Because you let a baby killer walk. That's why." And you didn't even spend a few days at least going through the evidence. You would have came to the conclusion that she did it. How do you get a dead body? How do you get on the back? How do you get a trunk that smells like a dead body in the back? Duh. There was a dead body in there. A decomposing dead body. Yeah, it was the Florida heat, but wasn't that a big piece of evidence? Yeah, Susan Smith is famous too, so everyone knows her name by now. Everyone knows Casey Anthony's name. I think Casey Anthony's more famous because she got away with it. She only got convicted of her 4 counts of lying to investigators, which I think should have been upgraded, in my opinion, to obstruction of justice. Maybe. Who knows why she did it? If you want my theory on the Casey Anthony case, I think she used to drug her kid so she can go party. I think she used to use something cheap like Xanax or, Benadryl to knock her kid out. So she wasn't acting up. She puts her kid to bed, and then she goes out with her friends. But one night she wasn't being so cooperative. And once she ran out of Benadryl, she used chloroform. And that stuff is dangerous. You see the chloroform searches on the computer. 1 + 1 = 2. She wanted to go party. Oh, I think I am. I think I'm gonna witchy. Put that in my put that in the chat. All right. And then then there was the snitch that never testified at the trial. I think the state should have put her up anyway. And she said that she was chloroforming her kid so she'd go party. So I think that's actually what happened. She's this careless sociopath that only cared about herself. This is Casey Anthony for you. And when her kid died accidentally from her child abuse, she said, "Oh well," threw her in the trunk, went to go party like it was 1999, didn't even care to report it until her mother confronted her 31 days later and blamed Granny Zanny the nanny, you know? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think I heard about that, Wendy. Celebrated her freedom and got a tattoo. Oh, that was disgusting. And then she said, and then Jose Baez said that Bozo the Clown says, "Oh, her father molested her. I don't believe her. I don't believe." I don't believe anything that comes out of Casey Anthony's mouth. All right, even if it was said to her lawyer. Oh, and she died having a seizure in the swimming pool. Oh, bullshit. Come on here. Come on here. You know, no one believes Casey Anthony's baloney, you know? Of course not. No one that's reasonable, that's smart or reasonably minded will believe it. You sit there and lie all the time. She even took the police to Universal Studios, like pretending she still worked there. That was pathological. I'll say that. I'll say that was pathological. So we have Susan Smith that was the queen. I don't think Casey even loved her kid. She was just a commodity and meal ticket. You know, upon yeah, she lied so much. She had the baby and basically used the kid to get her own way. If you watch the trial or watched Nancy Grace at the time, you had the psychiatrist or the psychological profiler on, and she's the diagnosed sociopath. So, well, I'm sure Susan Smith tries, Wendy. I'm sure she tries. She tries to get special treatment whenever she can. She's known. I think she comes with a warning label at that new jail she's at, Wendy. She's known because she had two officers having sex with her. And as you know, under the law, inmates are not able to consent to sex. All right? Even if they hit on the guard or seduce the guard. Susan Smith is not able to consent to sex. She's an inmate of the state of South Carolina. So it's like someone that has authority over her is like having a relationship with her, which is inappropriate. or any prison guards do. But look at what she did. You know, she's manipulative. She got herself out of a death sentence, and I hope she never gets out. I hope she never gets out. And she has, let's see here, dependent personality disorder. Let's take a look at what that is. So she's dependent on other people to make decisions. They cannot make a decision on their own. They need constant approval from other people. They cannot stand to be alone. They are sensitive to criticism and fear rejection. Okay, this is a big deal, you know? This is no excuse for murder. Yeah, me too. Me too. So all right, Witchy. I think it's time for me to end this anyway. So all right, everyone. I want to thank everyone for coming. And I just wanted to come on and talk about what happened today. So, all right, everyone, hit the thumbs up on the way out, and I'll see everyone later or another day. All right, bye-bye.